We're going to take a little armchair tour now that we've eaten of Oslo and some of the newer buildings, and some of those are newly renovated buildings as well. And what started this is my husband Greg and I went to Norway for the first time in August, and we were just amazed at all the building and the very, very new buildings and the innovative designs. And so I was going to share these with you. Some of you I know have been to Norway. If you went a while ago, you haven't seen these buildings yet, so you have something to look forward to. I know some of you are going soon, and some of you may have seen some of these. So I'm going to leave some time at the end for questions and comments. So I hope some of you that may have been and seen some of these buildings or been in them will share your experience with them as well. So the first building there is older than most of the ones I'm covering, but I put it up there because it's iconic, and I know you'll know which one that is. Which one is the first one? The Opera House, right, okay. And that sort of started out this new phase of development, so I'm going to cover that one as well. And the one in the middle is a little harder. Does anyone know what that one is? That's the Dijkman Library. That's the public library for Oslo, and it's located right next to the Opera House. And it's a very cool building. And then how about the one on the far right, the newest one? That's the new Munch Museum. So we're going to talk about that one as well. So next slide, please. Oh, not all the way to the end. Are you trying to send a message? Enough, huh? The second slide. Okay, just one. Okay, perfect, yes. We're going to talk about the Barcode project, which is actually a series of buildings that were completed in 2016. We're going to talk about, and I probably go butcher this, America Lingen, which is a renovated building. It's a hotel. It's actually the hotel that we stayed at in Oslo. But the reason I'm covering is because it has a unique history that's of interest to Norwegian Americans. And then the National Museum on the far right recently opened as well. So the next slide. There's a renovation of the historic part of the historic train station in the interior in 2015, and so we'll look at that. The Museum of the Viking Age has a major addition. It's been closed since 2022. It won't reopen again until 2027, so unfortunately we missed seeing it. The part that looks sort of like a round spaceship type thing there, that's the new addition. The part with the red roof and the white, that's the existing building now. And then on the far right, there was a recent renovation to the Oslo airport too, which if you go to Norway, you're likely to see as well. So in the next slide. So what got all this started was in 2000, the Fjord City Master Plan was introduced. It was passed in 2003, and it began all this development. And the idea was to connect the city center with the fjord, and also to create a cultural center in Bjørvika, okay, where the Opera House, the Munch Museum, and the Dijkman Public Library are now located. So you can see, and these are pictures from 1950 and 2007. It's very industrialized. There's a highway going through there. They actually built a tunnel and rerouted the highway under in the tunnel, so the highway's gone from there. There are still some railroad tracks there, but the area just looks entirely different. It's all been cleaned up, and it's really quite a beautiful area, and I'll be showing you some of the pictures so you can see that. So Bjørvika. Vika, okay, thank you. Bjørvika. It means the city bay. And it got an important history. It was once the city center, but then the city center moved in the 17th century. And as I said, it became very industrialized. There was a port area, shipyard, storage areas. And then since the fjord master plan, it's opened up since 2003, opening up to the people of Oslo. So we'll start with the Opera House, and the official name is the Norwegian National Opera and Ballet. It opened in 2008. Has anybody walked the roof? Yeah, a couple people, yeah. So we were there in August, and we were there on a weeknight, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and all the Norwegians were coming out of work, going down to that area, walking on the roof, sitting by the water, going to the cafes. It was really a vibrant, fun area to be in, and the weather was gorgeous. And I love this from Visit Norway, please walk on the roof. So that's the Opera House. Oh, I will say, the roof is composed of 36,000 slabs of white Italian marble, and the design was inspired by Norwegian glaciers. So these were photos that we took, and you can see it was just lovely. On the far right are those floating saunas that Dick was talking about. But there were some people swimming, but they were swimming right there. And I went to the Virginia Beach meeting, this Sun's meeting this month, and there were some folks that were born and raised in Norway who were talking about they couldn't believe that people were now swimming in the fjord in Oslo, but they are. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the Munch Museum, that was a public beach right in front of the Munch Museum. So, next slide. We did not see the interior. This is a photo. There's a moon chandelier there. That chandelier comes down for cleaning. It's made of hand-cast glass bars behind LED lights. You can see the use of native materials, lots of wood. In the next picture, it shows the wave wall that was made with wood and constructed by shipbuilders. And also notice all the light. A lot of these buildings just have a lot of light in them, a lot of glass, use of glass, and they're just beautiful. So more use of the wood that you can see. And then moving on to the next building is the Dyckman Public Library. And we found this by accident. We were sitting at a cafe outside of the Opera House having lunch, and I kept seeing people going in and out of this door. And I mean, there were so many people. So after we ate, I said, we gotta go over there and go in there and see what's going on there. So we walked in, and I gotta tell you, for the longest time, we thought this was a bookstore. We didn't realize it was a library. I think we were in there half an hour before we realized it was a library. And I'm a retired librarian, so it took a while. It's right adjacent to the Opera House. Competition was held to design the Library of the Future. This was the winning design, and it was named Diagonal. It has that cantilevered area, and that directs visitors along a path that goes from the city center to the building there. And so the next slide. Okay, so there's 3 light shafts that connect, and so again, it's very light and airy. When you walk in, you can see all the different levels, and there's escalators between them. From one of the architectural publications, it says, the architectural style draws you in. The open appearance, yet with diversions and side paths that offer surprises and secluded spaces to reflect. And they do, it's just every little nook and cranny is a surprise as you go through this building. It was named the Public Library of the Year by the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. So in the next slide, that first slide is what it looks like when you walk in. That piece of artwork with the neon lights is over 1,300 feet long with neon lights, and it's called Brainstorm, which you can sort of see. On the right side is an area they call the forest. It has a planter wall there, and then you can see the use of wood and the chairs and the tables. And there's also a little amphitheater area there with stairs where they can do programming and such. Okay, so this is an area where Greg and I hung out a little bit. There's Greg relaxing. And this is like a digital aquarium. So the scene is changing as you're sitting there. And then the headphones, I'm sorry, we can't remember if it was nice music or if it was nature sounds, but it was very, very relaxing. So we hung out there for a little while. So there is a book that was written by the architects, and it has a lot of photos. I got it from interlibrary loan. Unfortunately, they wanted it back before this presentation, but at the reference at the end of my presentation, and here's the cover sheet, along with a couple other books I'm going to be talking about here that you can look at as well. But they just have lovely photos in there of the library. Okay, but moving on to the Munch Museum. And these are the architect's words, bows towards the city, so you can see it leaning there towards the city. It was designed with two zones, the static zone, which is the one with concrete, which is good for displaying art because it doesn't have light in it. But then between the art galleries and the different floors are escalators leading you to these glassed areas that are just beautiful. That's called the dynamic zone. And you have great views from there, and I'll show you some pictures that we took from there. So you move between the art galleries and you see these lovely views of the city and the fjord. So these are some of the pictures that we took. Unfortunately, the glass sort of curves, so it gets a little reflection there, but really some beautiful views of the fjord from that building. In the next slide, you'll see it's very much connected to the fjord. That first picture I took from the outdoor cafe on the first floor. They also have a rooftop restaurant and bar, which we didn't go to, but we did go up and sort of take a look at it. So, and then I have one tourist hint for you if you go there. Visit the cafe on the first floor. My favorite Norwegian food that I found over there was rhubarb soda. Has anyone had that before? Oh, it was so good. I'm not even a soda drinker, and this thing was so good. So if anybody ever sees the source of it, I looked at Amazon, and you can probably get it for $1 gazillion, but short of that, I didn't find a source. So if anybody finds it, and of course they have some wonderful pastries there. And we actually did look at some art while we were there too. And then this is the Barcode Project. It's a series of 12 buildings. They were built between 2007 and 2016, and they're all designed by different architectural firms. They're all tall, narrow buildings, and from a distance they look like a barcode, sort of. They're both offices and residences. And in the next slide, you'll see there's a pedestrian bridge. This goes over all the railroad tracks because you're very close to the main train station for Oslo. So it goes over there. And I was I don't know if I was glad or sad to see, but there is a little bit of graffiti on that. So you don't expect that in Norway. Everything over there is so pristine, but they did have a little graffiti on there. But it's a pedestrian bridge, and it'll take you from Beer over to the city center there. It's also called the Acrobaten, the Acrobat. And also the other two pictures there show there's narrow streets, mostly for pedestrians, that go between those buildings and the barcode. And all the buildings are connected on the first floor. So in their next building is the America Legion. And this was the headquarters. It was built early in the 1900s. And it was the headquarters for the Norwegian American line, which took passengers and freight and mail between Norway and the United States. So I got to thinking my relatives came a little bit before that, so I thought, oh, well, my relatives didn't come. But then I got to thinking, I bet some of their mail may have come on those boats. So a very, very unique history there. When they designed the renovation, they looked at letters from immigrants that had passed through this building to help inform their design of the building. In the middle there, that photo was actually in our room, so that was a historic photo from the ship. And of course it has that really unique, lovely wood door in the front of it. Our next building is the National Museum. And this is a consolidation of several museums. And we did not get to this building, but it looks like a fun place to explore. When they had the design contest for it, it was very important not to overshadow the two buildings that are near it, because City Hall and the Nobel Peace Prize Center are located right next to it. So the design is a low building so that it didn't overshadow those other buildings. In the next slide, you'll see it has a plaza. And this plaza is said to be as large as a mid-sized Italian city. And I'm thinking that wasn't by accident, because one of the architects lived in Naples, Italy. So, you'll see this isn't the best picture, but on the far right there, on the top there, there's it's called the Light Hall, or alabaster, and this is a translucent walls, and the appearance varies by the season or by the time of day. It's created by very thin slices of marble, laminated by 2 sheets of glass and covered by safety glass. So very, very unique. And this is a changing exhibit hall. You don't get a full view, that picture sort of cuts it off, but it goes up higher than that, so. And there is a book here, this black one here, from on the National Museum in Oslo. It's really about the construction of it. So there aren't pictures of the finished building, but there's lots of pictures of the construction, if that's of interest to you. And moving on then, a part of the historic train station from 1854 was renovated in 2015, the interior. I'm not sure they did anything to the exterior. And it was to create food courts and restaurants and shops. So we actually did eat breakfast there before we took the train. So right in front of this, you'll notice the iconic tiger statue, which you may have seen. The tiger was erected in 2000 to celebrate the city's 1000th anniversary. And Oslo sometimes is called the Tiger City, and that's believed to be from an 1870 Norwegian poem about a fight between a horse and a tiger, with the tiger representing the dangerous city and the horse representing the countryside. So this was at the time of industrialization. On the far right, in the top of the photo there, you'll see a blue wall. That's a pixel glass wall, and it changes color. And that's actually the entrance to the main train station. And our next building is the one that's having the addition added on now. And I saw there's a Facebook page if you want to follow the construction. And I saw it from last week, and the basement's dug, so you can see the little curved area there. But it looks like it's going to be a while. It's supposed to open in 2027 though, so keep your fingers crossed. This one, it was designed to blend into the landscape and not to impact the views around it. And it was previously called, you may know it as the Viking Ship Museum. So that'll be a fun building to go to if you go after 2027. Okay, the next slide. And then our last building is the Oslo Airport. Had a major addition. It was renovated in 1998, and then this addition was completed in 2017. It added 1.5 million square feet, and it has a 984-foot skylight. They also renovated the train station as part of this project, and the train station, if you haven't been to the Oslo Airport, is integrated right into the terminal, so it's very convenient. The Oslo Airport is some distance from the city center, so it's very easy to catch. There's a couple of train lines there and go right into the city. So the next slide. There's the curved roof construction of the addition was made with local materials. They use wood and concrete made from local volcanic ash. You walk through check-in lines, sort of like a turnstile. Instead of when you check in for your flight, you don't go to a desk and stand in a queue like we do. They have turnstiles and you walk through that. So the airport was designed to minimize walking and to make it convenient for people. Imagine that. So the sloped wooden roof minimizes solar heat gains and losses, and snow is used to heat and cool the building. So just a few takeaways. Most of the architectural building awards were determined by international competitions. A number of the buildings, probably most and maybe all of the buildings, meet sustainability certificates, and that could be a whole presentation in itself of how these buildings meet those standards. There was a lot of attention to how the outside interacted with the building, how light comes in, how nature comes in, and how it fits within the overall landscape of where it is. And lots of use of local materials, and then they maximize the natural daylight. And this is just my subjective comment. They make you feel good. I mean, you go in these buildings, and I'm not a big fan of modern architecture, to tell you the truth, but they just, when you're in them, you just feel really good, some of them. So, anyway. Okay, so just the next few slides you can sort of flip through. Some of those photos were ours, but many of them were in the public domain, and so I've credited those sources. And finally, there's the references. I talked about two of those. The last one is this little book, and for those of you that are going to Norway soon, you may want to flip through this one. This is probably the one that's most of use to somebody as a tourist, because it has little photos and thumbnail sketches on each of the buildings in Norway, not just new buildings, but all of the different buildings that are in Oslo. So it's sort of interesting. All of these books, we don't have them in our library here. Most of them came from university libraries, but I was able to get them through interlibrary loans, so you can do that. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, a couple other Oslo attractions that didn't fit within the scope of this presentation, but the Stave Church, which is from the Folk Museum in Oslo, which we enjoyed very much. And then the Vigeland Sculpture Garden, of course, which is wonderful as well. So, questions, comments? Anybody who's been to any of these buildings want to weigh in, or? Yes, Antonia.
What's the new name of the Viking Ship Museum? Are they sort of changing its focus, or what
I don't know about the focus part. It's called the Museum of the Viking Age, so it sounds like it's a little broader focus.
More
Yeah.
culture
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
How long were you actually in the?
We were in Oslo for 3 days. Yeah.
Part of a longer trip?
Yeah. We did get, unfortunately, we didn't get up north. So we got to Bergen, we got to Stavanger. We were supposed to go to Flom, but then it flooded, so I was a little afraid. So we went to Stavanger instead. But I'd love to go again and get further north. But my Norwegian ancestors were from 2 islands over from Bergen and from Fredrikstad, just south of Oslo. So I sort of concentrated on Bergen and Oslo.
I have another question.
Mhm.
Is that your photo of the state church?
I believe it is.
Okay. So I'm surprised because you see these nice photos, but there's like not a lot of tourists around here.
Oh, I
You were
was.
there and you just have to wait.
I had to wait a while. I mean, it wasn't, like crazy crowded, but there were people. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Uh-huh.
I know just one thing, sort of on the side, that the construction, a lot of those buildings, they discovered all kinds of archaeological sites, didn't they?
Yes.
All downtown.
Yes,
in
they
old
did.
Oslo.
Yes, they
And
did.
all
Enough.
the origin up there, lots of roads and buildings and.
Absolutely, they did. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
If anybody's seen some of that.
Yeah, that would be a good presentation. Yeah.
Could you repeat Luther's comments, everyone?
Oh, sure. He said that when they were building those buildings, they found a lot of archaeological discoveries in the process, and that's absolutely true.
It was early Oslo, like you said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is there an archaeological museum in Oslo?
I don't know.
Yes.
Or is it incorporated?
Yeah,
into
David, do you know?
Yes, there is, and it is absolutely incredible. I got there just as it was closing, and the Norwegian people are so gracious. They said, well, come in, we're gonna be here a while, take your time seeing it. And it has incredible things from Norway's history. The Viking age things, gold, silver, things looted from Ireland and from England, room after room. It's much bigger than I expected. I would add one tip, because I know some people are about to head over there. Do not arrive at the Oslo airport after 8 p.m. Norwegians go to bed early, the trains do not run, and the buses downtown do not run. So you are left taking cabs with people that are not very nice.
The cabs are quite expensive too, yeah. But there are hotels there if you get stuck, because we did stay in one of them, so, yeah.
Rent a car.
Yeah, yes, uh-huh.
If you do rent a car over there and drive down to Oslo, it's turned into a people's street city. Calling your GPS will tell you to take the next left, and it's now a people's street. You can't go against people. And the other is they tag your license plate, you turn your rental car in, and we had dozens of tolls that we didn't even know we were on a road or going to a toll. It's like grabbing you going through in and out of the tunnel across the interstate, and you get this huge bill relatively, and you don't know what it's from, but it's picture take toll, picture take toll, picture take toll.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, we traveled by train, so we didn't have a car. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you.